Rick and his team discovered a terrifying secret beneath Oak Island, a swamp that had been a secret for centuries. They found a deadly trap set long ago, designed to stop treasure hunters. As they dug deeper, they discovered an oddly shaped metal artifact, corroded yet intact, which was not junk but had weight, purpose, and design. The swamp, always a suspicious place, was giving up its own secrets, with strange objects surfaced over the years. A massive wooden structure, buried deep in the swamp, looked eerily similar to an ancient dam or wall, suggesting that someone had once built a system to manipulate water levels here to hide something monumental. Dr. Ian Spooner, the team's geoscientist, was brought in to analyze the wood, which connected to a stone road nearby estimated to be around 500 years old. This would prove that this site had been a hub of activity long before modern records suggested. A circle of stones near the money pit, intentionally arranged, sparked theories about a marker, warning, or something left behind by a group that knew the island's true purpose. As the team dug deeper, fragments of wood and relics older than Oak Island itself were found, indicating that someone had been here long before any recorded settlement. Theories about the Knights Templar resurfaced, suggesting that they had hidden something here centuries ago and why they went to such great lengths to keep it secret. Each new clue twisted the story even further, making it seem like they were unlocking something they weren't supposed to find. More artifacts surfaced, including a centuries-old weapon, hinting at violence. The truth was getting closer, but the closer they got, the more it felt like they were unlocking something they weren't supposed to find. The team of explorers, including Rick Lagena, were entangled in a mystery that had been unsolved for generations. They were witnessing something far greater than they had ever imagined, and whatever lay beneath Oak Island was not just valuable, but dangerous. The stormy weather and rough terrain only made things worse, and the feeling of disturbing something should have been left untouched was nagging. Rick and his brother Marty had always been fascinated with lost treasures and ancient stories, and as they dug deeper, new finds raised more doubts. The island was hiding something much bigger than they had imagined. In 2006, Rick and Marty bought half of Oak Island Tours Inc. and took the first real step toward uncovering the island's secrets. The island will continue to shape the world around them. Rick Lagena and his team discovered a unique artifact in the Oak Island Money Pit, a swamp that has been a source of endless speculation and frustration. They found a carved piece of wood, possibly part of a secret chamber, and a strange crystal made from an old material from France. The team was deep in the northern section of the swamp, which has been a source of endless speculation and frustration. Although they had been focused on Lot 5, a peculiar circular foundation near the shoreline, they realized that the soil in this area matched the depths of the money pit, meaning the site had direct ties to the core of Oak Island's legend. The team wondered if the fragment came from a chest, where it was left behind, or if someone had pried it open, emptied its contents, and left only this fragment as a cruel reminder of what was once hidden there. As the excavation progressed, more anomalies emerged, such as wooden planks arranged in patterns suggesting they were once part of something larger, more traces of mortar indicating construction where none should have been, and a deeper void beneath the layers of sediment. Archaeologist Laird Niven and archaeometallurgy Emma Culligan found flint glass, a high lead content material that had been ground down and molded in France. This raises questions about what a fancy French gem was doing buried here, who brought it, and more importantly, was it part of something bigger? The soil samples from Lot 5 matched samples taken from deep underground near the money pit, suggesting that whatever activity happened on Lot 5 might be directly tied to the legendary buried treasure. The theory is that this round feature could have been some sort of base camp, where workers prepared to stash something incredibly valuable below the surface. If the lead glass gemstone really does tie back to a wealthy individual involved in a historic expedition, then what else could be waiting beneath the island? The team knows they're onto something, and they're not about to stop digging now. With every shovel of dirt, every scan of the soil, and every painstaking analysis, they're closing in on an answer. A rare object is found, pointing to something much bigger hidden on Oak Island. Oak Island, a site of ancient treasures, has been the subject of a series of discoveries and investigations. The discovery of high-quality lead glass suggests that the island's treasure is not just gold and silver, but also a collection of elite, high-value artifacts of immense worth centuries ago. The Duc d'Anville expedition, which took place in 1746, was a major French military effort aimed at reclaiming Nova Scotia from the British. The fleet carried thousands of soldiers, tons of supplies, and likely valuables intended for trade or payment. Given the disastrous outcome of the expedition, it is entirely plausible that survivors or deserters ended up on Oak Island, possibly stashing whatever riches they had left in a secret location. Some researchers have long speculated that the island served as a hiding spot for military funds, loot, or even religious relics. If a member of the French elite left behind an expensive gemstone imitation, it could be part of a larger hoard. The mix of European artifacts, including Spanish coins and English items, hints at a history far more complex than a single culture's influence. Oak Island might not just hold a pirate's chest. It could be the last resting place of treasures from multiple nations, hidden for safekeeping and long forgotten. Advancements in technology have given the team an edge previous explorers lacked. Ground-penetrating radar, sonar scanning, and detailed chemical analysis of artifacts are helping piece together a puzzle that has stumped treasure hunters for centuries. The discovery of the lead glass gemstone reinforces the need for deeper exploration. If more items of similar origin are found, it could confirm that Oak Island was indeed a site of secret wealth, perhaps even part of an organized effort to secure valuables away from prying eyes. The weight of history hangs over every discovery, with the thrill of the hunt mixed with a sense of responsibility. To piece together a lost chapter, to honor those who may have hidden these relics for reasons we may never fully understand. The excitement builds with each new clue, each new possibility. The final answer to Oak Island's mystery is bound to be more astonishing than anyone could have predicted. The team worked tirelessly for weeks, finally discovering a tunnel that was beyond what the human eye could see. The footage confirmed that the tunnels were not just a theory, but a passage lined with expertly arranged stones. Speculation soared to new heights, with some believing they had been built as escape routes centuries ago, designed to transport treasure or secret documents from one location to another. Others theorized that they were part of an elaborate booby trap system, created to protect something buried even deeper. As the team continued to uncover more secrets, they discovered a stone slab unlike any they had encountered before. This slab bore faint etchings, worn away by the centuries, but still visible enough to suggest deliberate markings. Historians pointed out that the type of stone used in the construction bore an uncanny resemblance to quarry sites in Europe, specifically those utilized by medieval builders. This led to the possibility that Oak Island's underground structures had ties to an ancient, secretive order. The next phase of excavation called for technology that previous generations of treasure hunters could have only dreamed of. With ground-penetrating radar and 3D mapping, a clearer image of the tunnel system took shape. This wasn't just a single tunnel, it was a vast, interconnected labyrinth. Whoever had built it hadn't just hidden something. They had gone to extraordinary lengths to ensure it remained hidden forever. Further analysis of the markings on the stone slab led to another stunning revelation. Experts in historical cryptography found similarities between these symbols and those found in old Masonic texts, adding fuel to a long-standing theory that Oak Island was not just a site of buried treasure, but a repository of lost knowledge, safeguarded by those who had understood its value. With the utmost precision, the team prepared for the next stage of excavation, which involved deep scanning and a small opening revealing an empty space beyond. The team widened the gap just enough to insert a light, and what they saw sent a shiver down their spines. With the utmost caution, they retrieved the artifact, which had undeniable craftsmanship and hinted at a purpose beyond decoration. If they could trace its origins, it might finally provide the breakthrough they had been chasing for so long.
Worth has skyrocketed since joining the show, as he has been in over 160 episodes. Rick is estimated to have a net worth of around $20 million.
Glass from the 18th century was recently discovered deep within a cave. Both professionals, scientists, and other researchers are interested in this unexpected discovery. With the arrival of Craig Tester, who works with Rick and Marty Lagena, as well as fellow landowner Tom Nolan and other members of the team, the study into the enigma known as the Great Quadrilateral is resumed. Approximately 32 feet long and composed of stones, the object in issue may have been created hundreds of years ago, according to Fred. He drew a diagram in the 1990s, and the crew is now excavating the northeastern part of the quadrilateral. They are trying to find out who created it and why, in the hopes of discovering these things. Treasure hunter Gary Drayton will examine the finds for important hints and indicators of the location of the treasure as metal detectorist Billy Gerhardt excavates the feature. This finding might offer the team yet another nugget of knowledge on the period of time during which this feature was created. They dug deeper and tried to raise something, but it was a big curved piece of iron, and it was incredibly difficult. An 18th century glass was discovered in a rectangle that was dug up deep during the excavation. Due to the way it was coiled, its size, and its weight, they claimed that when the piece of iron arrived there, it reminded them of a chunk of a cannonball. This was brought on by both the size and weight of the particle. One of the crew members disclosed that he had been successful in finding a sizable number of them in the southeast region of the country. It may or may not be true, in Rick Lagena's opinion, that this finding could offer a significant hint as to who created the so-called Great Quadrilateral. But it's likely that Rick Lagena is right to make his assessment. In that situation, it becomes much more intriguing to think about the topic of what exactly its aim was. This would be a great site to find any wealth that may have been taken to Oak Island and buried there in the past. They all reached the same conclusion after something was pulled up, and then something else was reburied in the same spot. This is definitely unique. They hope to find additional artifacts and come to their own conclusions about what they may mean, since they thought there might be other boulders, and they also thought there might be. The team is currently working on the southern half of the feature, after just finishing the northern portion, where they found several items that may be of great interest. The mystery further intensified and grew more perplexing as they descended beneath the stone layer. The metal detecting expert Gary Drayton and the Oak Island historian Charles Barkhouse continue to snoop around on Samuel Ball's property in the 8th episode of the 4th season, The Mystery of Samuel Ball, and turn up a number of intriguing artifacts. This ongoing inquiry is known as the Mystery of Samuel Ball. Drayton and Barkhouse find a dandy button, a sort of button that was often worn on garments in the 1700s, near the start of the tale. They rapidly uncover several coins from the 1700s with King George II's image, as well as a lead ingot used to make musket balls. Drayton had the idea that all of these artifacts might be the remains of a military encampment after discovering what looks to be a metal tag from the bottom of a revolver with a name etched on it, which some online academics think may have been Samuel Ball's own name. Drayton's discovery of another object leads to the development of this theory. These campers from the 18th century either left their own treasure behind or were searching for hidden wealth. The only thing concerning Oak Island in the 1700s about which there is complete certainty is that there was a great deal of activity going on there. In the 4th episode of Season 7's The Lucky 13, Gary Drayton and Charles Barkhouse revisit Lot 21 to see if they can uncover any new information. In reality, they are successful in finding a pair. The first thing they find is an 1800s British halfpenny coin. The next thing they find is a brooch with a detailed design of a rope and a leaf on it. Marty Lagena will take some time to count the number of branches on the leaf after he has finished polishing the brooch. There are a total of 13 of them. This is a reference to the crew finding the Appeal to Heaven flag in the Lost and Founding episode from the previous season of Lost and Founding. The flag was flown from George Washington's own ships. The picture showed a pine tree with 13 different branches. A carving of a tree with 13 branches has been carved into a rock on Oak Island's northern side. Additionally, the number 13 is believed to have some form of significance, and the Knights Templar, an organization that is already closely associated with many of the artifacts found on Oak Island, are said to be connected in some way. Gary Drayton and his metal detecting team once more find evidence of activity on the island in the 17th century in Dead Man's Chest, the second episode of the 5th season of The Curse of Oak Island. This time, the activity may have been from the military, potentially from pirates, or even from both. The crew finds a 17th century musket ball that was used in weapons before discovering what they think is a Maravedi, which is similar to the object found in The Find, the Season 1 finale. The difference is that this currency has been divided up into smaller, easier-to-handle pieces. Coins like the Maravedi were often cut in the 17th century to create change. This practice gave origin to the phrase "pieces of 8", which was later made well known by the classic pirate novel Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. Another puzzle piece that supports the idea that pirates visited the Oak Island coasts. Is it feasible that additional research on piracy has to be done? The Lagena brothers and Gary Drayton continue their search for hidden money in The Curse of Oak Island, Season 5, Episode 3, Obstruction, by looking into the Dunfield spoils. Robert Dunfield dug a hole that was 100 feet wide and 140 feet deep in 1965 in an attempt to find the rumored treasure that was supposed to be hidden on Oak Island. Ultimately, the large hole was filled in on its own, and the search for the treasures proved to be futile. The soil that was taken out during excavation, however, was not put to another use and ended up being called the Dunfield spoils. With the use of a metal detector, the Oak Island crew swiftly located a pair of English coins bearing the likeness of King Charles II on one side and the dates 1673 and 1694 on the other. These two coins' discovery on Oak Island in the 1700s suggests that either English military soldiers or pirates frequented the area. For more recent stuff, don't forget to subscribe and enable post notifications. In an effort to unravel hints about Oak Island's past and refute myths, they visit various parts of the island and speak with locals. The team also discovers gold close to the money pit, indicating that there might be further treasures there that have yet to be discovered. Even though they've encountered some difficulties, the crew continues to move and conduct their inquiry. Season 9 disproved Fred Nolan's claims of an ancient Portuguese presence while supporting Zena Halpern's Templar map. This discovery has restored their trust in their mission. Additionally, the group learns the top 10 Portuguese connections. The Lagena brothers are looking into the disappearance of the riches from Oak Island. The Portuguese Order of Christ, the Knights Baronet, and Prince Henry Sinclair are all seen to be potential contenders for hiding the treasure from Oak Island. The team encountered numerous rumors and plots along the road, which frequently cast a shadow over the wealth itself. Nevertheless, it appears that this season might be the one in which they ultimately succeed. Even though the current season is coming to a close, The Curse of Oak Island. Drilling Down is scheduled to air the next week. In Traverse City, Michigan, Maddie intends to meet with Rick, Marty, Craig, Alex, and Jack, according to the summary. They will review the amazing results of Season 10 and get a sneak preview of what is ahead in 2011. The origins of this mysterious energy are still a topic of discussion among NASA experts. Click the next video to find out more about this enigmatic power. Join us as we observe them as they investigate this 200-year-old enigma, and together we will determine if there is, in fact, hidden wealth on the island. Throughout the course of their expedition, they stumble upon some astounding discoveries that will astound you. The Lagena brothers have devoted a substantial portion of their careers to locating buried wealth. It is understandable why anyone would be captivated by the prospect of unearthing centuries-old treasure buried by someone in the past. Unfortunately, similar to a large number of other visitors to the island, the brothers initially encountered difficulties and failed in their endeavors. Rick and Marty were fortunate in that their treasure hunting efforts did not go unnoticed. The A&E network became aware of the brothers' work, and recognizing the potential for a compelling series about treasure hunters investigating Oak Island, decided to collaborate with them on a series titled The Curse of Oak Island. It's quite eerie, wouldn't you say? Thanks to their cooperation with the television network, the brothers were able to recover the funds that they had previously spent on their travels to the island. Their research activities attained an entirely new level after receiving financial support from the network and other investors. It is essential to note, however, that despite the influx of wealth, The Lagena brothers and their new investors did not make any noteworthy discoveries during the first 2 seasons of their program. This is something that must be recognized. Despite this, they demonstrated an admirable amount of patience, which is commendable because, as the saying goes, patience is a virtue. After 3 seasons of searching, the explorers on Oak Island finally made significant discoveries that aroused their curiosity. The discovery of a ceremonial Roman sword suggested that Roman soldiers may have visited Oak Island before Christopher Columbus. This major accomplishment opened a floodgate of opportunities for the crew, and as they diligently combed the island for riches, they discovered a wide variety of artifacts and antiquities. A handcrafted replica of a map of France was one of their discoveries, which aroused their interest in the artifact. In order to conduct the analysis, they enlisted the assistance of historian and maritime expert Zena Halpern. After determining that the map was created in 1647, Halpern theorized that the resources it indicated may have originated in Africa. During the course of their investigation, the Lagena brothers and the rest of their crew discovered fragments of a book, which further investigation revealed to be a bookbinder. After making this discovery, the brothers began to contemplate the possibility that they had not yet discovered additional buried manuscripts on the island. A fragment of parchment made from animal skin was yet another fascinating artifact discovered. William Chappell and Frederick Blair, explorers of Oak Island, have been hypothesized to be involved. In the 15th century, when the document was created, only the wealthy could afford to dispatch mail. In addition, the explorers discovered a number of gold coins near a pit that became known as the Money Pit. This location sparked the island's obsession with treasure that has persisted for the past 2 centuries. Unfortunately, a recurring issue with flooding halted Chappell and Blair's treasure hunting expedition when the Money Pit became submerged in water, preventing them from making any further progress. After Chappell and Blair led the way, many others attempted to find treasure on Oak Island, but unfortunately none were successful. Chappell and Blair were only the beginning of a long line of people who followed in their footsteps. The issue of where the loot was hidden evaded even President Roosevelt, despite his best efforts. Despite numerous abortive attempts, the search for treasure on the island continued indefinitely. This was due to the efforts of individuals like Irwin Hamilton, who unearthed artifacts that were not typical of the area. It was evident that Rick and Marty had a challenging mission ahead of them. They were fortunate to have a competent and capable team supporting them. Craig Tester, who had been Marty's college flatmate, joined their ranks, as did Dan Blankenship and his son David, all of whom were experts in their respective disciplines. Dan Blankenship, for instance, was a renowned hunter who left his contracting business to investigate the enigmatic island. Since the Lagena siblings had been treasure hunting since they were young children, it was not surprising that they were both exceptionally skilled at the activity. As soon as Ricky, then 10 years old, stumbled upon a boulder and became intrigued by the concept of unearthing buried treasure, their passion for treasure seeking was ignited. Even though their first attempt to search the boulder for treasure failed, it set them on a path that would lead them to spend the remainder of their lives engaging in similar adventures. As time passed, they gained a deeper understanding of the tales and legends surrounding Oak Island, which strengthened their resolve to investigate the island's mysteries further. The brothers Lagena and Dan Blankenship each purchased 1/2 of the stock in Oak Island Tours in order to realize their dream of discovering the buried treasure and seizing it for themselves. This gang appears to be destined to follow in the footsteps of their former commander, Daniel McGinnis. McGinnis discovered a depression in the ground on Oak Island in 1796, prompting him to initiate his own search for wealth on the island. They and their associates spent approximately 10 years excavating the pit, but none of their efforts bore fruit. In the end, the Onslow Company was the one to assume responsibility for excavating the money grave, but they too were disappointed. Discovering only a stone instrument containing writing, it took over a century to translate the inscription on the stone tablet, which is believed to read, 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried. Others relied on conjecture, such as Marie Antoinette hiding her wealth prior to her execution, or William Shakespeare hiding his fortune and unpublished works, while others used this as evidence to infer that there could be treasure on the island. Despite this, these hypotheses have not been confirmed because no treasure has been found. Since the beginning of excavation on the island, Individuals such as the Lagena brothers have been responsible for the discovery of hundreds, if not thousands, of artifacts. The Lagenas made a remarkable discovery when they unearthed the bones of two distinct individuals. The fact that one set of bones belonged to a person of Middle Eastern ancestry and the other to a person of European ancestry added another layer of enigma to the island's history. The remains were discovered on opposing sides of the island. The discovery of bones belonging to individuals of Middle Eastern and European descent led to the conclusion that these men may have been members of the Knights Templar. Gary Drayton, an additional member of the Lagena team known as the metal-finding ninja, discovered a medieval-era cross and a stone with Greek letters. After analyzing the relics, Zena Halpern argued that they may be associated with Tannin, the Phoenician deity of fertility. These discoveries appeared to support the hypothesis that the Knights Templar had visited the island. However, after analyzing the artifacts, Zena Halpern hypothesized that they were associated with Tannin. When the cross's lead covering was removed, it was discovered to be made of gold, leading some to presume it was used to smuggle gold. In addition, some individuals believed the cross may have been used to transport gold. The Lagena brothers believed that their discoveries were more important than those of their contemporaries. Are you currently appreciating this video? Be careful to subscribe and enable post notifications to be notified immediately when a new post is published. In spite of this, they remained enthusiastic about continuing their search for treasure on Oak Island, which was fueled in part by their desire to uncover the island's mysteries as they proceeded. They made additional discoveries, including the discovery of various types of stone tablets in the money pit. Initially, the tablets were considered to be nothing more than ordinary artifacts, but after further investigation, it became apparent that they could represent evidence of Viking occupation of the island. Oak Island exploration has been a phenomenal experience for the Lagena brothers. Through their partnership with the television network, they were able to achieve financial success despite not discovering any genuine treasures. As a consequence of the show, they now own 50% of the island and have become billionaires. They remain committed to their work in the hopes that one day, with a little luck, they will find the treasure chests buried somewhere beneath Oak Island. Researchers on the team have just discovered something no one was meant to see. Click the following video to find out what things it might hold. Their significant operations included draining a swamp, an area Rick always believed might hide something important. In a related quest, Marty's son, Alex, along with Gary Drayton, the team's expert with a metal detector, and another team member, Jack Begley, are making their own discoveries. During one of their searches, Gary's metal detector went wild over a particular spot, and soon they uncovered an old metal spike embedded in the mud. This find was particularly exciting for Gary, reminding him of a similar object he once saw in a Spanish galleon from the late 1600s or early 1700s, the golden age of piracy. The thrill of possibly being the first to handle this artifact in hundreds of years was a real high point for the team. As they unearthed new clues, they began to realize the artifacts might be much older than they had thought, adding a new layer of intrigue to their search. Fred Nolan's crazy swamp theory connects back to their exploration of Oak Island, suggesting that the oddly shaped swamp was purposely made hundreds of years ago to conceal a shipwreck. If his theory holds any water, it makes one wonder about the people who might have chosen to hide the ship in such a secretive way, perhaps to protect valuable cargo. As the team digs deeper and uncovers more, they move closer to possibly finding treasure and piecing together the historical significance of Oak Island. Every artifact and each dig could potentially be a key to understanding more about the past, making the island not just a treasure hunter's dream, but also a rich site for historical exploration. The Oak Island team discovered a survey stake hidden in the swamp, indicating human activity long ago. This discovery led them to explore other parts of the island more thoroughly, including a cave with carvings on its walls. They conducted metal detecting exercises in the cave and uncovered an iron piece that looked like a strap or bracket. This discovery added another layer of excitement and motivated the team to keep searching. The team considered the possibility of finding parts of a Spanish galleon or another type of ship that had brought treasure to the island. Torrey Fell, part of Reflex, doing clinometer work in the money pit, was the first to spot a significant stone that everyone else had passed over multiple times. The general consensus was that the piece could have been a strap or bracket used to hold together timber on the ship. Intriguingly, the iron rod showed signs of having been exposed to high heat, perhaps even a fire. They speculated that the fire was used deliberately to scuttle the ship as it sank into the swamp. The team pondered over the extreme actions someone must have taken. Not just creating the swamp, but perhaps even burning the ship. Carmen Legg, the team's expert in blacksmithing, dated the iron strap to the 1700s, helping the team confirm that something significant happened in the swamp around the mid-1700s, several decades before Daniel McGinnis found the famous circular depression. During their search for treasure on Oak Island, they stumbled upon another significant discovery: a stone-paved pathway submerged in the southeastern part of the swamp. They theorized this wharf could have been used back in the 1700s for loading and unloading goods from ships. Using their metal detectors, they quickly found an iron peg resembling a plumb bob, an ancient tool used to ensure that structures were built straight and aligned. The excitement of going down into that shaft to dig and potentially uncover an original tunnel from the 1600s or 1700s was very high. If they could unearth such a structure, it might confirm links to the money pit or the stone structure they had just found. Driven by this possibility, the team felt they were on the verge of a discovery that could completely change their treasure hunt in the swamp. When they started digging a bit, they uncovered a wooden structure under the ground. They wondered if this wooden structure was connected to the stone pathway they had found, or if it was an entirely different piece of history. They speculated that following this path might reveal more about the island's past and activities that took place there. Such findings could be crucial in their ongoing quest to uncover what lay hidden beneath the island's surface and perhaps finally locate the treasure they were seeking.